Hi, folks. Welcome back. My name, for those of you who don't know me, is Dr. Thomas Dunn, and I am the director of the basic course, also known as SPCM 200, Public Speaking, in the Department of Communication Studies. Welcome back. This is a very strange situation that we find ourselves in, but I just wanted to take a second and reassure you all that we're happy to have you back, and we've done a lot of work over spring break to make sure that this transition will be as easy for you as it possibly can be. To that end, we put together this brief orientation PowerPoint show, which should only take about 10 minutes to go through. Please do me a favor and go through the rest of this show to get all the information that you need, so that you know what you need to do to restart SPCM 200 in this new online format successfully. I'm sure every single question you have won't be answered in these next 10 minutes. So if you do have a question or a concern, please reach out to your individual instructor, and they'll be happy to help you out as best as they can. But with that, let's get started. Okay, so our overview, this PowerPoint show is going to cover just a few simple things that we think everybody needs to know. And as the slide you're seeing should make very clear, those things are making sure you know we have your backs, talking about priorities that we're going to focus on in the online class, what we mean when we say we're going to be on an asynchronous schedule, giving you a snapshot of a typical week for the remainder of the semester, pointing you to where you're going to be able to find the work that you need to get done every week in what we call a module, answering the question, what happened to my instructor, going over some other frequently asked questions that you might have, the golden rule in this class, which is going to be open communication, and wishing you all the best going forward. Before we do anything else, let me just take a minute and be really clear and upfront with the idea that our central goal here in SPCM 200, and frankly at Colorado State University in general, is to let you all know that we have your backs in this really challenging situation. We know each of you is going through your own struggles around COVID-19. You might not be very much impacted just yet. You might be in the future. You might already be facing some really significant fallout from the events of the last couple of weeks. And we know that because we're going through this as well. And so just know that everybody is really focused on making sure you have the tools that you need to be successful. And for us, that means knowing that we're not going to have the answers to all questions, but trying to anticipate as many problems as we possibly can, keeping things simple and easy to follow, and being as flexible as we can in this situation, while maintaining as high a standard as we possibly can for the course and for each of you. So know that going forward, and if at any time we can do anything to help you in that regard, please let us know. So at this point, what we want to do is make sure that everybody in the class has the chance to finish the four most important things that they need to in order to be able to finish the semester. And at this point, those four things are, number one, completing the public deliberation speech, and that's only for the people who haven't done that yet. Several of you have completed that in advance of us going to online. We need to get everybody else finished on that front. Number two, we all need to start and complete both the policy speech and the commemorative speech. Number three, everybody in the class needs to take a final exam. And number four, you have a bunch of other points, not a lot, but a few other points that have been allocated by individual instructors across the semester in their individual sections. Those points need to be reallocated to make sense in the online class. And you'll hear more about that from your individual instructors. And so this is what we're going to shoot for, and the online class is designed to do just that. So an important thing you need to understand about how this class is organized is that in order to get these priorities done, we're going to organize the course in what's called an asynchronous fashion. As you probably heard over the last couple days, or maybe in some of your other classes, asynchronous means that you don't need to meet at your usual time online with the rest of your class and with your instructor. There's just no way for us to coordinate that many different people, that many different sections spread all over the country and all over the world, and to get that work done in any way that makes sense. So instead, the online version of the class is now organized asynchronously, which means essentially do it yourself on your own timetable, but do it so that you meet certain key deadlines. What that really means for us then is that every single week you'll get a set amount of work to do, and you'll get strict deadlines that'll be set and for you to get it done within. However, within that week, you can do that work whenever you want to. Do it on your own schedule and do it in a way that makes sense. We think this is the only way to do this fairly, and it's really the only way to do this in a manner that's going to work for the most number of people who might be in a bunch of different situations right now, sharing a laptop, sharing a computer with 5, 10 other people in their house. Who knows? We want to give people as much flexibility as possible, and that's what the asynchronous schedule does. Okay, so on an asynchronous schedule, this is what a typical week is going to look like in the class for each student. Let's start on Sunday. Every Sunday night, your instructor is going to get a bunch of course content that's largely produced by me, the director of the basic course, and also draws on some things that existed in the course already. And we're going to put those together in modules that you can access on Canvas. Every Sunday night at 5 o'clock, your instructor is going to get that sent to them. And their job by Monday, by 12 noon, is to have that posted on your individual Canvas site. So you'll see on Monday, you, starting at 12, will have access to whatever you're required to do that week in the module section. Your Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, most of your day Friday, then means you get to use that time however you want to finish all the items that are assigned to you for public speaking in the module for that week. You might work at night, you might work in the morning, you might get it all done at once, you might do it on any schedule that makes sense for you. In between then, you also have access to office hours, but you'll need to schedule those with your instructors individually. Then on Friday, by 12 noon, everybody's work for that week needs to be done and submitted, and whatever needs to be turned in on Canvas needs to be turned in by 12 o'clock on Friday. And from that point on, you've got the rest of the day and in fact the rest of the weekend to do whatever you want and to do work in other classes to get ready for other things. You may end up using your weekends to do some more prep work on some upcoming speeches, but as far as assigned work, your work in this class is really Monday through Friday, 12 to 12, okay? Let's take a second here really quick just to review where you're going to find your work in those modules any given week. As we said on the last slide, right, that'll become available every Monday at noon on Canvas, and you should know Canvas pretty well at this point. But you log into Canvas with your EID and password, you go to your SPCM 200 Canvas site, and it should be really easy for you to find that week's module after noon on Monday. First, if you go to the left-hand side of your screen, you should see this little modules thing that you can click on, and that will take you there. You also will probably have a link on the main page of your SPCM 200 Canvas site as well. So multiple ways to get there. But either way, you want to make sure you click on modules, and when you do, you should see something like what you see on the bottom image here on this screen, right? SPCM 200 module, the one down here below, is for March 25th through 27th, which is the one you're in today. Really, the process that you went through in order to find this orientation today is the exact same process you're going to want to go through every week. Now, every week, what's in that module will look different. On weeks when you have speeches due, there won't be very much in those modules. In weeks when we're preparing for speeches, you'll have different kinds of works to do, like topic selection forms, topic approval forms, for instance, research prompts, all of those kind of things. It's going to vary every week, but every week you're going to know where to find it because there's going to be a new one posted under modules. If for some reason you can't find it, get in touch with your instructor. They'll help you do that, but that should be available and easy to find every Monday afternoon. At this point, you might be wondering, what happened to my instructor who has been teaching me in this class for the first half of the semester and who seems to have disappeared in the wake of this other guy, Dr. Dunn? Well, your instructors are just fine. They're really interested to see how you're doing and hear from you all, and they're going to be really important in the online version of the class. My job after week 1 is really to fall to the background and primarily to just keep putting out this content. But your individual sections are still going to be taught by your individual instructors. Your individual instructors will still be running your Canvas site and managing all that course content. They'll still be available for office hours, although in an online environment. They'll still be answering your emails and be your first point of contact in the class. And they're still going to grade all your work. They're still going to grade all your speeches and give you feedback on that. And they're going to grade your final exam as well, too. So you should be hearing a lot from your instructors after today. Today you hear a lot from me, but from here on out, your instructors are going to be much more present in this online experience as they're getting caught up on this process right now. I'm stepping in, but your instructors can't wait to be here and be with you again soon. It is entirely possible that you have a question that is not accounted for in this orientation or even on this slide here. If you have a question that isn't one of the 5 that are listed here, what do you do? How do you get that answered? First and foremost, we'll be updating a frequently asked question resource fairly regularly that you'll have access to in the next couple days. Just not ready yet, but that's something that's coming out soon. However, in the short term, if you have a question you don't see the answer for right here, you should shoot your instructor an email and ask them directly. They'll either know the answer and be able to tell you, or they'll send it to me, and we'll get it sorted as soon as possible. A very common question is, are the speech assignments as they were written in the beginning of the semester going to change at all as we go to this online format? And the answer is certainly yes, right? There are just some things we're not going to be able to do on short notice in an online environment that we would be doing in a real-world face-to-face public speaking class. So for instance, those of you who will be doing the public deliberation speech next week, we won't be able to be having a deliberation in the way that we would, right? We're not going to be in a room. There's not going to be a simultaneous exchange of ideas and questions and a back and forth. So that's just going to have to change. And for most of our speeches, there'll have to be some kind of changes, either big ones or small ones. Those changes are going to be rolling out and updated on Canvas by your instructor in the next couple weeks. Luckily, we don't have any speeches due just yet, except for the public deliberation speeches. And so you'll be getting guidance on anything that needs to change on that. But really, the only thing you'll have to change for the public deliberation speech is you won't be doing the deliberation, but you will be needing to do the speech in the same way that you've already done. So those of you who have already drafted that, that'll be exactly the same. Yes, changes will be coming to the other speeches, but you'll hear more about those as we get a little bit closer. You may be surprised to find out that we do have an online version of public speaking that we offer through CSU Global, but it's a very small class. It's a very small section. It's only for people who are doing their entire degrees online, so it's not available on campus. But in that class, we require public speaking students who give their speeches online to bring together an audience of people as part of their recording, right? They have to get 10 people in a room together with them to be the audience that are then recorded watching the student give the speech. We are not doing that in this version of the class, and the reason is very simple. Number 1 and number 2 and number 3, with all of the changing and rapidly changing situations around COVID-19, we think it is just necessary to make sure we are not bringing together groups of people in any way, shape, or form, especially groups of 10 or more. We know it would be hard to do anyway. We know particularly if people are in self-isolation or quarantine or just hanging out in their own home doing their normal schoolwork, but not being able to bring a lot of people over to do that just doesn't make sense. So no, you don't need an audience for your speeches. You'll just be looking directly into the camera and speaking probably by yourself in a room somewhere. and that's a-okay. That's perfect for what we want for this speech. And in fact, chapter 17 of your public speaking textbook, which you'll see exerted in your work for this week, will talk a little bit about what speaking in an online environment looks like in exactly that kind of way. Will I be graded differently? That is both a yes and no answer. In some ways, no, right? Most of the criteria for the assignment are going to be exactly the same. And so most of the things we're going to be grading you on for your speeches are going to be exactly the same. You'll still need to have an outline. It will still need to be organized. You're still going to need to do research. All of those things are still going to be graded in the same exact way they would be otherwise. But in some ways, yes, definitely. There'll be some changes in the way that we do our grading in SPCM 200 going forward. Part of that will be something you know a lot about in advance because the rubrics will change as the criteria of the assignments change ever so slightly, right? So that will be something you'll see some more of, not this week, but probably next week and the week after as we start getting deeper into some of these assignments, right? And in general, all the instructors in SPCM 200 will also be keeping in mind the extraordinary situation that we all find ourselves in right now as they're doing their grading, right? The most important thing will be for you all to be communicating with your instructors, to be getting your work in on time, and to the best of your ability, meeting the assignment criteria and doing the very best you can on these speeches. As long as you're doing that, leave it to me to make sure I'm talking with your instructors about giving out fair and effective grades and good comments. But yeah, the answer to the question of whether you'll be graded differently or not is a little bit of yes and a little bit of no, with more detail to come for the big assignments that we have left. In this really quickly changing situation, some of you might find yourself coming to the realization that you will probably not have access to the internet going forward, or you will have limited access to a laptop or computer for the remainder of the semester. I think many of us probably will, and if you're watching this, I think most people are in pretty good shape on that front. But there will certainly be, we hope, a small contingent of people who are taking the class who won't have the same access to internet and other technology as everybody else does. If that's you, number one, please let your instructor know that as soon as possible. Shoot them an email, and please do that before you find yourself in a spot where you're not going to have that internet connection. But secondly, once we know who those folks are, we're going to be working with them to find ways for them to be able to complete the class. President McConnell had gestured to this in an email she sent out not that long ago, essentially saying that if we needed to send things in via the Postal Service, we'll do that in order to help our students succeed, and we stand by that in public speaking as well too. So if that's you, number one, make sure you get in touch with your instructor ASAP. And then number two, know that we're going to be following up with you to make sure that we get you in a position to be successful in the class, even without those technology resources. What if I can't record my speeches? That is a big concern for a lot of students, even students who have access to the internet and access to a computer and will for the duration of the spring semester. There are still going to be within that group some people who are not going to have a camera or a microphone or both that will allow them to record their speeches. And it's also possible that even if you do have those resources, you might not have the easiest means technologically for uploading those to Canvas, depending on the size of the file, or a number of other tech issues that we're aware of, right? So if you can't record your speeches, please do me a favor. Number one, let your instructor know that as soon as possible. We're going to keep running tabs on folks who are in a situation where that is going to be challenging, or folks who find out that it's challenging as they try to do that. And we'll be working with them to find some alternate ways of completing the assignment. Everybody will still have to prepare a speech, and certainly everyone will still be turning in a preparation outline as part of that, even if they can't record their speeches. But for the folks who can't record their speeches, they'll have an additional assignment to do that's going to try to make up for some of those points on delivery that are just not going to be able to be graded in the same way if you can't record the speeches. Now, for those of you who will be recording your speeches, maybe you're sitting there saying, oh, well, that's not fair. Why do I have to record my speech? This is not a very fair situation to begin with. We're making sure that we're doing the best that we can for everybody, and we trust each and every one of you to be on the honor system here. We genuinely think that the best way for you to get a public speaking class experience in an online environment is to be recording those speeches. But if for some reason you are in that small minority of people who can't, please reach out to your instructor, and we will be in touch and let you know about other ways you can still get credit for these speeches, even if you can't do the actual recording itself. One final note before we go, and I said this at the top of our slide earlier, but we really want to move forward with this class with the golden rule being open communication. This is a communication studies class after all. We take communication really seriously, but genuinely, this is only going to work if each of you communicates openly and as transparently as possible with your instructors about what's going on, about what you need, about what you can do, and about what you can't do, about if you need a little help, about when you need some flexibility, and about when things are going great and when things are working well. By the same token, I and our instructors are going to try to be as open with you as we possibly can. We're going to try to communicate what we're doing, why we're doing it. We're going to let you know when we mess up, and we're almost certainly going to mess up. We're going to let you know when we do something well or something we think works really well. And we're going to be listening to your feedback, and together, hopefully, we're going to figure this out and make this work. So that is something I would ask of all of you, is let's embrace open communication for the rest of the course. Be in contact with your instructors. Don't fall off the face of the earth and not let us know what's going on. We can only help you if you let us know. So please stay in contact with us. Keep us in the loop, even if it's just a short note to say something's going on, and we'll do the same, and we'll get through this together. That said, that is the end of your very brief orientation to our transition to SPCM 200 online. This is not what any of us expected to be doing right now, but this is an adventure, and it's gonna open up lots of new ways of doing things and thinking about things. And despite all the craziness, it's kind of exciting, and we hope you'll be a little excited about it as well too. So thank you for taking the time to do this. Make sure after this orientation you go back into your module and get done the rest of the things you need to get done for this week, and get everything uploaded and submitted by this Friday at 12 noon, and that'll be our routine every week. But with that, folks, thank you so much. Good luck in SPCM 200 this semester. You might hear a little bit more from me before the semester is over. And if we can do anything for you, please just let us know. Thanks.